What is going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation that you could be having there today, but saving for night. How do you like that? I'm trying something new. Let me know in the comments. Yes, it is that time again. It is that Tuesday. It is that 8 o'clock ish, and homeboy Rob will be joining us a little bit later. He had a later shift at work, and so he wasn't going to get off until a little bit later, but he'll be joining us a little bit later in the stream. So with all that out of the way, let's get this conversation started. Let's see. A lot of things. Not too many things went on for me personally this weekend. I got together with Rob and we did some more filming for his show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to check that out every Thursday. New episode coming this Thursday as well. We got together. We did some shooting, did some talking. Me and James were planning on going out on Saturday, but it just wasn't in the cards again. And but we did end up going out with homeboy Rob to a local spot and speak of the devil. Give me 1 minute, yo. All right, and we've got the homeboy Rob with us. Yes, indeed. You didn't miss much. I just, I just started, so. Crap.
Getting in late.
Yeah. You're fired, by the way.
Okay, there was that. We're good on audio and all that good stuff.
Yeah. No, we're good. I did just as you were about to talk, I remembered that I didn't unmute your mic, so I had to hurry up and unmute your mic.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry about being a little bit late, folks.
Just, this happens when you throw me off, Rob. You just make the quality of the show shit.
I know.
It's all your fault.
But I had to work and I had to eat, so I'm I didn't quite finish my dinner yet, but I'll finish it in a bit.
Way to be a professional, Rob. Jeez.
I know. I should be ashamed of myself. I should be ashamed of myself.
I was just telling everybody here, like, what we did over the weekend, just some filming and a little bit, hanging out.
Oh yeah, good times.
Yeah. Other than that, what'd you do this weekend? I guess Sunday then is what I'm asking, because I was with you Sunday, most of the day on Saturday.
Right. So let's see. Sunday, mainly just went to church. Mm-hmm. And then what did I do? I feel like I did something at church. Yeah. Yes, I went to church. And then came home and got caught up on a few things that I had recorded and missed throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too exciting there, and that was pretty much it. Like I don't really live this lavish lifestyle. I don't go out all that often, mainly because I got other stuff going on here. But yeah, no, it's just nothing too exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I just ended up just resting quite a bit and getting ready for the week. Oh, well, actually, I watched the movie that we were going to talk about today as well. So.
Oh, right. Maltese Falcon.
Yeah, but I did have a very exciting. What was it? Yesterday, I had something very interesting happen at work that just initially scared the crap out of me, and then
Mm-hmm.
it was something I was able to laugh about afterwards. So, for those of you that don't know, I work at the post office, and my part of my job is that I have to scan in packages and then get them out to the all the different routes so that the postal carriers can take them around to their destination. And we get a variety of things that these packages come in. And one of them is this giant metal crate that we have to sort through. And as I'm going through that, I pick up one package, and there was just something like really weird on the edge of it, and I thought maybe it was like a sheet of paper or something that like had gotten stuck through like tape or whatever. Well, come to find out, it turned out it was a bird, and I don't know how the heck it got in there, and it started flapping at my face, and it just scared the shit out of me initially. So I was like, I jumped back by about 10 feet. Felt like I aged about 5 years. And then, but thankfully,
how did a bird get in there?
I see. That's the thing. That's the thing that I was questioning. It's like, okay, at the distribution center, did it get stuck there initially? Like, and it was on the truck and it just was there the whole time?
Uh-huh.
Or while it was out on the dock while we were, while we were trying to get stuff done, if it was like just flew in there somehow from our dock. And yeah, just this bird flew at my face and I jumped back about like 10 feet and everyone laughed at me, which was awesome. Yes, as they should. And,
I mean, it was like
thankfully,
maybe it was a package for was it a white dove? Maybe it was a package for a magician.
no, it was like one of those like little finches or something along those lines.
Okay.
I'm not an ornithologist, so I don't know if that was the exact type of bird. But yeah, it was. And for those that are concerned, the bird was fine. We got him outside, and he was able to fly off and be with his friends. So no harm, no foul. Other than I felt like I aged about 5
Funny.
years. It was, yeah. So it was kind of a funny day yesterday. A very long day, but a very at least started off with a bang.
Mm. Very, very interesting.
That could only happen to me.
You know, it's If all the things that to happen to someone, it had to be you.
Of course.
You know, it's like it's like that old standard. It had to be you.
Yep. But yeah, no, just so that was a good start to the week. That was it.
That's cool. I mean, well, I guess. Well, I guess I'll share a little something that also happened to me on Sunday. I attended church. I attended my service as per usual on a Sunday, and it wasn't. But the sermon wasn't given by our usual head pastor. It was given by the educational director. I think it's just one of those things that they worked out. So just so that the head pastor could have some, a few like 1 or 2 Sundays off in the month, and then so he could let the director of education give a sermon, and also an associate pastor give a sermon. And this Sunday was the director of education's turn, and he was just he was going through. what was it? That passage in Galatians 2 about Peter's hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Paul, and then Paul like kind of calling him out on that, and he was just he was just kind of equating it to the kind of maybe attitudes, whether some subconsciously or unconsciously, of the church to behave a certain way with believers, but not with unbelievers, or you know kind of inconsistency in one's character.
Yeah.
And and he was talking about, like, oh, don't be that person that that causes another to stumble, or leads another believer down the wrong path. And to give an opposite example of that, he recounts the story about 2 years ago, when he after service, and this was before he became the educational director.
Mm-hmm.
He after services in the fellowship hall, he came and happened to sit at the table I was sitting at, and we just started having a conversation, and we talked, and we hit it off, and we became fast friends. And he I guess confessed that it was our friendship that made him and our friendship was one of the reasons him and his wife decided to stay at our church 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, and I he kind of gave me a little shout out from the pulpit, and said I was that I was his brother from another mother. And it just kind of made me realize you don't really know the impact you have on people, on those around you. And I think we lost Rob. Yep, we lost Rob. And we lost OBS. Oh joy. Oh lordy, lordy, lordy. If it's not one thing, it's another. Ah, jeez. Ah, this would happen. Oh boy. All right, folks. Sorry for the technical difficulties. The internet in my place went down. How embarrassing!
It happens.
Yes, right. Right when I was telling this very poignant tale of mine, I can't even remember where I even left off.
You were the heck? You still there?
Yeah.
What the hell happened? Hold on
Can
a
you see
second.
me? I can still see you.
I see. Okay, yeah. I kind of sort of see it. Like went into this odd window. All right, there we go. I don't know
Oh,
what the heck happened there. All right. No, you were saying that the educational director was going on about Galatians 2, and you had been talking about like he was sharing a story about like why he stayed at
right,
church.
right,
That's where.
right. Yeah. So, he cited our friendship as one of the reasons why him and his wife decided to stay at our church 2 years ago. And and he gave me a shout out from the pulpit, and uh, you know, what is it? Called me his brother from another mother, and and it's just kind of you never really know, um, the impact you have on people
True.
um, in your life. Because sometimes because most of the times they won't say it unless pushed to do so.
Right.
And I mean, I don't think he was necessarily pushed into revealing all this, but you never know. You might be someone's reason. You might be the reason why they got into shape, or they no longer drink, or a whole host of reasons that
Right.
you might not necessarily understand.
That's very true.
But
So that's pretty. That's definitely something. Because I've noticed that too, where uh, for also those that you don't know, I do a lot with youth kids at church, and a lot of times, I don't feel like I'm able to give all the time that I would love to give them or whatever. But then come to find out that like certain things that I've said or things that I've done that I don't even not really like conscious of, like impact them in a big way. I haven't had it. I don't think I've had anywhere it's been like a bad impact or anything like that, but it's mostly been positive changes. And when push comes to shove, they're like, yeah, like you said this to me several months ago, man, it just like it rocked my world. Like it was just something that I needed to hear. It's like, oh wow, I had no idea. And that happens a lot just within. It's not necessarily has to be like a church setting or anything like that, but even just with like friends or people that you meet, relational things, even if it's for sometimes it's only for like 5-10 minutes, sometimes it's a lifetime, and those relationships do make an impact. And honestly, that's why I think it's we're so caught up in a lot of the in our phones, or a lot of the we're talking on the internet, and which is kind of ironic since we're using this platform to talk to have a conversation. But the just the idea that I think we've lost the art of the conversation, the art of connecting with each other on a personal, like, one-on-one basis. And yeah, like, we're missing out on those, like, big impact moments like that.
Yeah, I mean, my takeaway was, don't ever think that you're not having an effect. Just because, just because someone doesn't affirm you every single day, of every single minute, of every, single hour.
Right.
Because ultimately, no one has time in the day to do those things, and and even if someone were to say how special you were, someone were to say how special you were to them, every single day, it would, it would kind of lose meaning.
It wouldn't have the same impact.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, every single day, it's like, hey, you know what? You're special to me. After the first few times, it probably feels good, but then by the 1,000th time, it's like, yes, I know, I get it. I'm special to you. I'm special to you.
Yeah, it loses the impact.
Yeah.
But then there's some weirdos that, like, man, they need to hear it often. It's like,
well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the like social media thing is with, like, the likes. That's the constant reinforcement.
Yeah.
That you're special, or you matter, or you're someone thinks you're clever or talented or witty or what have you.
Why didn't they like my post?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, Lord.
All right. I guess to switch gears here, you want to talk about Maltese Falcon?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So for let me actually. Sorry, I had some stuff that I had down that I wanted to.
Oh, you took notes. Okay.
Yeah, because after, like, you were saying that you initially had a tough time with it. I was like, I really, like, kind of dug in and, like, paid attention so that we could have a discussion about it.
Yeah, maybe we can iron a few things out.
Yeah. And it's always, like, the one thing where there might be, like, something that I get from it that you don't, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you that also or might be tuning in for the first time, I'm a big fan of classic films. I like black and white films. I believe that not every, like, film that's old is great, but I like to go back and, like, okay, well, why were these films so popular, and why do people still talk about them today? Well, this one is a film from 1941 called The Maltese Falcon. It stars Humphrey Bogart and Mary Astor, and Humphrey Bogart plays the character of Sam Spade, who's a private detective. And I think the movie starts off with, like, the plot of talking about, like, the Knights of Templar. What was it? Actually, I have the. It was talking about, like, the Knight Templars that they were paying tribute to Charles V for giving them, like, this island, and so to pay tribute, they created this, like, solid gold falcon with all the rarest, like, jewels that they found, like, encrusted on there. And it was captured by pirates, and it was kind of lost to time. And that's where our story starts off. And it's this kind of this cloak and dagger, who's telling the truth, and everyone's trying to look for this falcon. And that's kind of like where the movie starts off at.
Yes. Okay. So far, yes. So far, you have me. Yes.
So yeah. So you got that part.
Wait. Was this a book first?
This was also a book, yes.
Okay, just making sure. Like one of those like pulp novels, right?
Yeah, I didn't actually. To be honest, I didn't know it was also a book until I started reading up about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know too much about the book and like where it detracts or like where the differences are.
Right.
So I can't really speak to that. But yes, there was also a book.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because this movie made me aware of certain things. Like, who was that actor? Peter Lorre?
Yeah, Peter Lorre. Yeah,
Yeah, it was funny because like I
Hungarian
never realized that was because like in a lot of the old like Looney Tunes cartoons, they alluded to him like with like this kind of like side character.
Yeah.
You know, but he was like this creepy little guy with like big bug eyes and just like talks with like I mean if you never heard Peter Lorre speak, it's a very kind of manic kind of what?
Yeah, he's unique. He has a very unique accent. He's Hungarian.
Yeah. He's one of you.
Yeah, he's one of me.
He's one of your people.
Yeah. Hey, I always got to give a good shout out to our to the Hungarians out there. It doesn't seem like there's too many left.
Right. Yeah, but I never knew because growing up I'd always see his character in like the Looney Tunes cartoons, but I never made the connection. And then I watched this movie and I was like, oh my god, that's what they were referencing.
Yeah. It's always nice to find where a lot of those references originate from.
Right.
And yeah, I noticed the same thing too. I was like, I know this guy, and it took me a while to figure out like where else. I mean, I know he's been in other movies, but like yeah, it was kind of the stuff from the Looney Tunes is where I first remember hearing about him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you guys are trying, I know we didn't do a really good job of describing his accent, but just if you ever watched Frankenstein, like the character of Igor, kind of think about that.
Yeah, he's. And I actually had to go back. I was like, did he play him? And I was like, no, he didn't. He wasn't Igor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that type of accent.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like that. But anyway, back to this movie.
Yeah. All right. So where did you start to lose the film, Andy?
What was it? It was kind of further along. It was like right when Mary Astor and Peter Lorre's character meet up at the apartment with Humphrey Bogart's character.
Okay.
And that's about where I start getting confused about like what the hell is going on.
All right. So from best that I can tell, so to me it felt like Mary Astor's character, who starts off as I forget like her surname that she gave, her false identity she gave initially, but her name is was it Birgrid O'Shaughnessy was her real name.
Yeah, that was the character's name.
Yeah, and so initially she comes.
Oh, Shag Hennessy.
Yeah, and she gives Sam Spade and his partner this false story about like her sister was kidnapped by this guy, and she's not really sure about who he is, all this, and so after they take the case, you see Sam Spade's partner is shot. You don't know who shot him, and he's killed. And then the guy that they were supposed to be tailing, that guy was also killed later that evening.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this who did it? Who killed the partner? Who killed the guy that they were tailing? Mm-hmm. And all this time, Sam knew that this lady was lying, and so he's he's playing her to try to figure out exactly what happened, and then comes in Peter Lorre's character, who's what was his name? It was something. What was his first name? I know his last name was Cairo.
Yeah, something Cairo.
Yeah. Anyway, so his character, and he kind of like, and so Sam Spade is playing all these different angles to try to figure out exactly what happened.
Right.
And so you have O'Shaughnessy, Bergert O'Shaughnessy. You have Cairo, and then later on, there's a guy that his
the German dude.
The fat man.
Yeah, the fat man, the fat German dude.
And come to find out, they're all trying. Those three are. They know each other, but they're all like trying to, essentially fight each other to, to find this Maltese Falcon that has been lost throughout time. And so that's kind of the.
Yeah, I mean that part I understood. Like it was basically a triple cross, between all three of them. And but it's just kind of, I don't know. It's just maybe it's just we're too far removed from that time and when the movie was made. But it was just it was just all kind of like the pacing seemed really fast and
it was a very fast-paced movie.
Yeah, and I mean they like making all like these jumps to conclusion, like as if kind of like they knew maybe it's also again like movies had only been around, but by that time movies that have only been around for about like 20 years, maybe less than that.
I would say about 25 years at that point.
Yeah, and so like the acting is like still a little like wooden to a certain degree.
See, I didn't quite get the wooden acting in that. That wasn't.
Or I mean, just like like the acting was, it felt like they were reading a script and like they knew like where it was kind of leading. Even though, like, when the cops were, like, asking questions, to Humphrey Bogart's character, it was just like they were reading off a page and not necessarily, it just didn't seem organic because they were, like, they understood, like, their function was just to move the story along as opposed to, so there's, like...
Yeah, I guess I didn't get that. I actually thought the acting was pretty decent.
I mean, yeah, I totally accept the fact that I might be biased because again we're so far removed from that era, and in the culture in when was the movie made in like the 40s?
1941.
All right, 1941. Yeah, we're so far removed from there. It might as well be from a completely different culture or different country.
Yeah. I think the issue becomes with something like this is that we're so used to movies where the dialogue, it needs to be real, like where they have to talk like us and they have to do things like us, and we've gotten movies like that for quite a while now.
Right, where they try to inject some realism,
and that's okay. I don't mind that in certain movies, but to me. The way that nobody talks, well, obviously, like, we don't talk like that now because it was at 70 years since this movie has been out, almost 80 years now. But it's the thing is like, well, that's not how like people talk, or that's not
right.
I was
yeah.
like, well,
I mean,
it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be better than that. It's the dialogue is supposed to be like wittier or a little bit more higher class than how people talk like normally.
Right, and the accent or the affectation of an accent, that was more of issue of necessity as opposed to artistic license, because the recording equipment was so bad that you had to kind of enunciate, like, it's like, yeah, so we're gonna take you to the police station, see, and it's just
right.
It kind of necessitated like this over the top kind of articulation and enunciation in your words, and that's where the mid Atlantic accent is derived from radio, because the audio equipment back then wasn't the best, so you had to enunciate and you had to talk like this, see, and so everyone can understand every word you're saying.
Exactly.
So yeah. So again, I totally will admit that I'm looking through this through a 21st century 21st century eyes. I'm definitely looking at this back with HD quality through an HD quality monitor, and like Dolby surround sound speakers or whatever. So.
And so to continue on with like this a little bit of the story of the movie. So everyone's kind of triple crossing each other, and like you're trying to figure out who killed who and who is behind what, and come to find out that they all these people essentially tore the world down to find this Falcon, and then they were all three of them were duped in the end, because
the
Falcon
it wasn't real.
that they found, it was a fake. And I mean, the guy had spent 17 years of his life searching for this thing, and he had so much money. It's like he was willing to like push everyone else out of the way, no matter what the cost. To
and I mean, the fat German guy, he even sold out his longtime Goonie, to be set him up as the fall guy.
Right. And yeah. So there's I think in like a movie today, it's like, well, no, we have to find the real Maltese Falcon. Where is it? And it's like, no, it's kind of, I think like the lesson of the movie is like, man, all these people tore each other apart for this thing that turned out to be a fake.
Mm-hmm.
Then find the real thing, if there was a real thing to be had.
Right.
And because we're basically given a legend, and these people are going, they're following after this legend, hoping that it's true, and they're willing to sacrifice their goodness and their humanity to get it done.
Mm.
So in that sense, like, I actually, I like those type of movies where it's there's you don't know if someone's telling the truth or if they're good or bad, and just trying to figure things out, even though we all know what these people are looking for. Obviously, it's like right off the bat, we know what they're looking for. But the finding out who's good, who's not, and even like throughout the movie, the main character Sam Spade, he's kind of a troubled character, and you don't quite know if he like
right. Yeah, there was Humphrey Bogart's character Sam Spade. He had like this kind of shifty, dubious qualities. Like you don't know if you should trust him or not. I mean, at least for me, anyways. I mean, I don't know if that was the same for you, but
yeah, no, it's exactly how I felt too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like he seemed like it was funny because he ended up being a man of some character, but when you are initially introduced to him, especially after like his partner died and like the widow shows up, and then it's revealed that that they had like a little side thing going on.
Right.
It's like, damn, this slime ball. But then like he turns out to be somewhat decent.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, I thought the movie was pretty awesome. I really liked it. But yeah, I get all your points where this is the way the movie was made back then wouldn't work today.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I like that it's I like how it was.
Yeah. So, so definitely worth watching.
I think it's at least worth giving it one watch.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it's like a super all-time classic, but it's definitely a movie worth watching. Once or twice, and yeah, I give it like 2 or 3 stars.
Yeah, I'd give it about 3 stars.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely the acting. I like the acting. I thought Humphrey Bogart was really awesome, and
I mean, basically anything with Humphrey Bogart, and it's.
Oh yeah, he definitely carried the film.
Yeah, he definitely carried it. Wait, was he in Casablanca?
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
See, that to me, like that's an all-time great that everyone should watch. That I could probably watch that movie several times. Actually, maybe that might be our next film. We should do Casablanca.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
But yeah, I figure it's a little. I don't know. I definitely like today. I would think it's a lesser known film, but it's a pretty decent one.
Wow. I mean, if people don't know it, then they are somewhat at least familiar with the pop culture references.
Yeah.
Like Play It Again, Sam, or of all the gin joints and whatever of the world. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're just a dumb kid.
Yeah.
Go watch some classic movies. Learn something.
Yeah. Actually, something that I don't know if this was necessarily if they were drawing inspiration off of this film or not, but the scene where his Sam Spade's partner Archer is killed, it reminded me of the first Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise, where the guy I can't think of his name right now, the character's name right now, where like one of the main guys is killed off in the beginning, and all you don't see who did it, but like it's kind of this.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was John Boyd.
That's right. Okay, thank you.
He played Jim something or other.
Right, but that's the scene where Archer is killed. Like that reminded me.
Oh yeah, and like the fog and
yeah,
and you just see the gun going off, but.
Right, and so it was kind of in that sense. It felt when I saw that scene, I was like, "Man, this." I wonder if that first Mission Impossible film took inspiration off of this, because it's the same. Because that one is kind of the same type of deal, where it's unlike the current Mission Impossible movies, where it's very action like.
Oh yeah, J.J. Abrams, lens flare. There needs to be more lens flare.
Yeah. Which are good. I like those type of movies, but like that one was much more.
The first Mission Impossible one, that was a little bit of a slower burn.
I actually, to me, I still think that's the best one out of all of them. Possibly,
I am starting to turn around. I am starting to rethink. Rethink my position on that one.
Number 2 is the worst.
Yeah, agreed. Number 2 is the worst. Yeah, Anthony. I mean, even though Anthony Hopkins in there, he couldn't make it a hit.
Yeah, it was just. The funny thing though, that was the first one I watched out of all of them, but it turned out it was the worst one.
Yeah, I mean, God bless him, but John Woo, there's only so many dubs you could put in an action movie.
It was a movie that definitely reflected its time.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the late 90s, I think, or early 2000s.
I want to say it was like 99, 2000 that movie.
Yeah, it was like just at the end where things were about to change, but it still had like that '90s panache and like the over the type, uh, wire work and gun fu and
Oh yeah, it was just
yeah.
so
But I
bad.
mean, then again, it was directed by John Woo, so what do you expect?
True.
He's not gonna give you like. And it's funny because I was watching this YouTube channel today called Cinema Wins.
Oh yeah, I know that one. I know
And
that.
yeah. It's the opposite of Cinema Sins, where he points out all the good things that a movie does. I can't wait for him to try and redeem Last Jedi.
Oof.
Right?
I don't.
Right? Just like you
Did
feel
you
that,
hear?
you feel your bile duct, activate when you hear that, when you hear that title.
Did you hear that? And I don't know if this is like true or not, or but apparently the girl that played Rose, who easily the least important character I've ever seen in a movie.
Uh-huh.
She suspended like her Instagram and like all her social media stuff because she was getting so much hate from people.
I did hear about it, but I hadn't looked into the story. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory, which kind of sucks. I'm gonna
No,
go out on the
I
limb
don't.
here, because the
I
actress
think it's like
herself is not her fault. It's not her
she was
fault
doing
that
her
her
job.
character, it was just her character was written very poorly.
And the thing is, she might actually be like a good actress, but this movie did not reflect those qualities.
Yeah, this movie was. I mean, I understand it's if you're a beginning actor actress and you're given this huge opportunity, who's gonna turn it down? Nobody. That's who.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but it's right, and maybe but the character was so poorly conceived and so poorly written that it's this movie didn't do you any favors, and now forever you're gonna be known as Rose Tico, and you're gonna be typecast, and at best you'll just be you'll just be sci-fi fodder and make the rounds in the multiple different convention circuits. And I feel bad, and I feel bad for her because, like, especially if she was in earnest in trying to become an actress, and she thought that this was going to be her, her launch vehicle into other things, but it turned out to be what's the word I'm looking for?
Oh, I know what you're thinking. I'm just drawing a blank.
Yeah, but
no, one thing that like I see with that is, it'd be one thing if she turned out to be like, if she was part of the writing team. The only person she can blame is herself at that point. But it's if not, then I always think it's kind of silly. It's like, don't blame the actors. Like, they're just doing their job. Blame the writers who fucked up her character, or just to and as far as her. Yeah, she was probably the most useless character since Jar Jar Binks. I think from so, um, Jar Jar Binks makes her, or she makes Jar Jar Binks look like Darth Vader almost, of like the cool characters in the universe,
right.
But it's just. But that's not like, I do feel bad that like she got all this hate. It's it's the same thing with like the kid who played like Anakin in Phantom Menace. It's like he's just
right. I know now.
Like,
look at him now. He's in jail or something.
Yeah, he had like some like issues or something from what I
some
heard,
substance abuse problems and multiple run-ins with the law.
But
it sucked for him because he was getting shit on too, and he was only like 8 years old.
Right, and it's like you look. it wasn't like necessarily his fault. There was a lot, like you said, that's a very good story with a very poorly executed. With even though they had all these great stars in it, it was very poorly executed. And then it's kind of the same thing with Attack of the Clones. It's like the story is fine. It's just it was just
the writing was just awful.
God, it was so bad.
I hate sand.
Oh, I mean, it's just by the time the third film rolled around, they figured it out, and it was actually pretty decent. But it was like by that time it was like
but right at the end, it's like okay, it's like okay, you're just limping across the finish line now. By episode 3, it's just like you're limping across the finish line.
Yeah, and but yeah, no, I'm definitely not. But I don't blame I actors. It's
I don't. Yeah, because when I say I hate Rose Tico, I'm not saying that I hate the actress that plays Rose
right.
Tico. I'm saying I hate the character Rose Tico.
Yeah,
it just Rose Tico just happens to look like this actress.
Yeah, and the other thing is on one end it's like okay for if her claim is legitimate, it's like guys don't blast her, blast the writer, blast the director for doing a shitty job because they did.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's also one of those things where they're critiquing the movie and critiquing her character, and it's like my ego, and if that's the case, then it's like what, you deserve to get made fun of at that point, where you're taking criticism of the film to mean that it's like you're getting all this hate, because that's just
right. But I mean, if she was out there with a Force is Female T-shirt and just dumping on the fan base, calling
that's the other problem too.
All the toxic, then I'm like, all right, then you kind of deserve some of the shit. Not all of it, but some of it.
Yeah, that's and who knows? It could be one, could be both, could be the other, could be both.
Could be a combination of the two.
Yeah, so we'll hopefully. But anyways, yeah. So back to that. My point is that I felt like the Maltese Falcon. I think that first original or that first Mission Impossible film. I think it was 94 was that when that came out?
Yeah, about.
It felt like there was a lot of after seeing Maltese Falcon, it felt like there was a lot of Maltese Falcon in that film.
Maybe because Maltese Falcon and the first Mission Impossible, those were slow burns.
Yeah, and it was just there was a lot of double and triple cross type of cloak and dagger.
Exactly. Yeah, you didn't know exactly who to trust. I mean, you're only. Yeah, I mean, you're only just viewing the world and the events going on in this movie through the eyes of Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt. So you might be not getting the full story, or you might be missing pieces, but that's just the information that's coming to Tom Cruise's character.
Right. So it's Maltese Falcon, pretty dang good, definitely worth a watch. Definitely better than Last Jedi. Yes.
We're never not gonna slam Last Jedi, I guess, on this stream. It's just
it's just the more every time I think about it, it's like I don't think I can hate this movie anymore, and I think about it some more. It's like
Yeah, it's funny because I've been actually watching a lot of videos on YouTube defending Last Jedi.
Oh God, you got to send me those links. I need to hear these people that are.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because I know they're wrong, but I still want to hear them justify their position. And to a certain extent, some people are more successful than others. But
right.
I mean, that's their opinion and they're welcome to it. But I have my opinion, and my opinion is always right.
To me, I felt that Force Awakens was a lot more defendable than The Last Jedi, and
Right.
I just think
I
that's
see. I see. Here's the thing. I don't like what they did, but I appreciate it more.
yeah,
Because I appreciate what they were, what they did because they were saying, it was because like I said, or like, and I'll continue to say that Force Awakens was a love letter to the original trilogy, and this was kind of like uh, this was kind of set up, to let the fans. I think it was one of those things that JJ did to let fans know, like, hey, I'm one of you guys. I know Star Wars. You can trust me with it. But then you get Kathleen. You insert Kathleen Kennedy, and then she, then tries to insert, her own agenda, her own politics into this, and
and then everyone got
it's just a
drunk, and then
mishigas. It's just a
everyone
mess.
got drunk, tried to go home, and crash into a tree. That's essentially what The Last Jedi was.
Yeah, I mean, I told you that there was like that clip of Ryan Johnson talking back in the day, where like he didn't want a movie where everyone loved. He didn't want like a movie where everyone loved it. He wanted it to be 50-50.
That's stupid.
Yeah, he's like, I don't really want everyone to love my movie. I'd rather have it like where half people liked it, half people don't. I was like, he's like, oh my god, and then he basically was saying what he was gonna do to Star Wars from the very beginning, even before he even had a shot. Even before he even had a chance at it, he was like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just who. Why wouldn't you want everyone to like your movie? I mean, no one's gonna like everything like 100%, but I at least give the majority of directors throughout time, like they're expecting like people are gonna like enjoy their movie and like come to see it, again and again and talk about it.
Right. I mean, I understand, like, if a movie, starts a discussion or a dialogue, where
that's fine.
and that's fine. But most directors, they want to have successful movies. They want to create art. That is beautiful and it stands the test of time, and it just and it'll go on forever. It'll be enjoyed forever. And I think that's what like some of the greatest artists do. That they create like these timeless works of art that go beyond the time frame or the time period that they created it in.
Right, and there's some movies that definitely like I think of some of like the more recent um, Christopher Nolan films like Inception or Interstellar, like where those were movies that started discussions and people talking about things and like, well, I don't know if I really like the movie, I didn't quite get it, or oh man, this is awesome, this is a great movie, and so
Yeah,
so
right.
it's
Like
that
the
type
whole
of thing.
thing with Inception, and like at the very end with the spinning top. They dedicate freaking Reddit sub pages to that.
Yeah, which is it's one of those things where it's like, but Christopher Nolan didn't go out to create a movie that like half the population that watches it is going to hate it.
Yeah,
It's that's ridiculous.
yeah. Because I mean, because when you're starting out, yeah, you make whatever you try to make whatever you want, and that's just practice for your masterpiece. I think a great example of that is Edgar Wright. His I forget what it's called, but it's the trilogy with Simon Pegg. It's Shaun of the Dead,
Oh
Hot
yeah,
Fuzz, and World's End. Those are all
yep.
just those movies were just practice for Baby Driver. Oh yeah, and that and Sean Pilgrim Rules the World. Those four
Yep.
movies, those were all practice. For him to work out certain ideas or certain camera angles or whatever for I think his magnum opus, which is Baby Driver.
Hmm.
Because if you watch Baby Driver, it's all of the best things about Edgar Wright movies from his previous works.
I'll have to go back and watch. Oh, I still haven't seen Baby Driver, but I'll have to rewatch all those movies again and then watch that and
No,
see what you're
yeah,
talking
you'll
about.
definitely like as soon as you watch all those movies and then you watch Baby Driver, you're like, this is like Baby Driver is kind of like his magnum opus. It's kind of all the best things about those previous movies, that and just used in this masterpiece.
Was it the because I still love Shaun of the Dead. I think it was one of
Right? I
the
think
funniest
I think it's
movies I've ever
so
seen.
brilliant.
But then was it Scott Pilgrim? I didn't care for that one as much. I love the video game that they made for it, but I didn't really. The movie I felt didn't execute everything. It didn't execute the story very well, but it was that visually it was very nice,
Mm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
music
Yeah,
was
and
fantastic.
that's another thing. I think Edgar Wright's visuals are very distinct and unique to Edgar Wright. Like what
Yeah,
you
and I
see,
love
if
the
you
soundtrack to that movie too.
what was that?
I loved the soundtrack to Scott Pilgrim Saves the
Right,
World.
and again, that goes to another thing. His music selection and his way of integrating music into the scene.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
will say that he does a great job of that.
exactly. All right. Well, there were two things that I did want to talk about, um, or two subjects that I did have in mind to bring up. I guess we'll talk about. The first one would be the Supreme Court and its decision to um, find in favor of the baker in Colorado.
Oh yeah, I did. I did hear about that. I was listening to some news on that today
Mm-hmm.
because I was trying to refresh myself on the story.
Right. Well, for those of you who don't know, I think it was in 2012.
Yeah, it was way back then.
Yeah, it was way
Gosh.
back in 2012. This gay couple that lived in Colorado. They went to Massachusetts to get married because in Colorado, gay marriage wasn't recognized.
Right.
I'm not sure if it is recognized now, but anyways, so they went and got married in Massachusetts, came back and decided to have like a reception or something of the sort with friends in Colorado, and so they go to this baker and ask him to make a wedding cake for them, and he
Right.
refuses, citing his religious conviction,
Right.
and once this baker denied it, um, the gay couple quite literally made it into a federal case. And it went before the Colorado State Supreme Court, and it went through like normal adjudication process through first in the lower courts in Colorado, and then up to the Colorado Supreme Court. But the courts had all found in favor of the plaintiffs, which were the gay couple, citing that denying services would go against the Colorado like human rights something or other.
Oh yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and so
But the story is though, like he didn't technically deny them anything. He's like, he said, if you guys want to buy like one of the pre-made cakes that are already here, he said,
right. I think, yeah, his contention was like, yeah, I can't be a part of it. I'm not going to make you a cake, but if you wish to buy one of these pre-made cakes and then augment them yourselves, then we can do business.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And it wasn't I'd say he was very consistent, because it wasn't just like, oh, because you're gay or whatever. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to sell to you because you're gay. That wasn't the case. But he also didn't make like Halloween cakes, or something that oh, happy divorce, or like he's not gonna
or like even pastries with like that contain like alcohol, like rum cake or something. He didn't make those things,
or like erotic cakes or anything like
that. Yeah. So the baker had a very consistent position,
right?
And so even in the state Supreme Court, they found in favor of the plaintiff, but then they went and petitioned it in front of for the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court heard it. And here's another funny thing about at least the reporting on this. Every left-leaning news outlet will say that it was a narrow victory or narrow decision.
Yep. I've been hearing that too.
Yeah, but the decision was 7-2.
Yep.
It's like, that is not narrow. That is an overwhelming majority. And what they're saying, but here's the thing. Here's what what the left does. They obfuscate. And it wasn't that like the number of votes was narrow. It's not like it was a 5-4. It was
right.
It was narrow in that the Supreme Court, the federal Supreme Court, didn't make a ruling on the overarching implication. It was just for the specific instance of this baker and his First Amendment rights.
Yeah, they weren't creating like a new law per se. They were
or creating a new precedent.
Case. Yeah, that's a little bit a little sad, kind of.
Yeah, so they were just basically they were saying what the state Supreme Court did was unconstitutional to this guy, and that's it.
Yeah. Not saying that it's like that like this type of like allowing people to have freedom over their business model, essentially.
Yeah, I mean,
because what I'm saying is like because on a on a certain level, it's like, okay, let's what was to stop that like couple necessarily from going to another cake shop or whatever? Why did they have to make it into this thing? It's like, and we live in a country where you can let your dollar speak. If you think that guy is so such a horrible guy, and like he's losing out on money on those things of his he has conviction to do so, and I'm not but if you feel so strongly about it, then it's like, yeah, go to his like top competitor.
Yeah. I mean, are you saying that he is the only baker like in like the city that you live in, or anywhere close to where you live, and that you can only get a wedding cake from this guy?
Yeah, that's where it's like, to me, it feels like maybe it wasn't like an outright like targeting, but it's like there's so many other options where you don't have to bring it to the court.
Right. Yeah. It's
because there are a bazillion. There's so many people that are not going to care. It's like, oh yeah, hey, let's congratulations, here's your cake. It's like they'd obviously do that.
I mean, I hate to do, I hate to keep keep doing this, but let's reverse it. And this bakery owned by a gay guy, and someone from the Westboro Baptist Church comes in, like, yeah, could you make us a cake that says, die fags?
they're not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then like he's like, well, you have to serve me because you are a service-based business, and by law you have to serve us. And then it's like, no, it's like I don't. It's like, well, I don't prescribe to your beliefs, so I'm gonna refuse you on those on that basis.
Yeah, but that's exactly what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean it's funny because of all the instances that this happened, because like the Christian baker in Colorado, the Christian baker in Portland, the Christian florist in Georgia, they they said that they don't want to participate because of religious convictions. But he's like, that's it. We and they didn't say that they couldn't get anything else from them. The bakers didn't. The one in this Colorado case, he said like, hey, take one of these pre-made cakes and then you can decorate it however you want it. And I'm pretty sure like the one in Portland too made you know maybe a similar accommodation, or offered a similar accommodation. And the same thing with the florist in Georgia. The woman there, the gay couple, they were customers of hers for years. Sold them flowers, no problem. But then as soon as she was a believer, and they asked her to provide the flowers for their wedding ceremony, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. If you want a bouquet for your Sunday brunch for your kitchen table, then I you know I can
No problem.
yeah, no problem. But for this one thing, I can, my religious convictions won't allow me.
Yeah, there was something that the way it was phrase made a lot of sense to me. Is that we're kind of just thinking of the if we don't have any like standards for like what like marriage actually is, and there's been a lot of talk of like, well, what's the actual definition? And obviously like that definition has been moved around quite a bit in the past couple decades. But the one thing is that it's not just it's just not a regular event or some sort of thing like that. And when you're even when you're attending a wedding or preparing or helping out with like a wedding, you in a sense you're giving your like, yeah, this is I believe in this is a good thing, all that sort of stuff. Like you're putting your like a personal stamp on it. And so because I always get like asked like the question like, oh, would you if your like friend was gay, would you, and you got an invite, would you go? And I wasn't really sure how to answer that, and I over time I was like, what, I don't, I would probably not go just because but because it is like a way of you're saying that like you give approval of this union. And don't get me wrong, like I personally don't care if there's people who are gay and they get married. Awesome. Like one, because now the government got involved for some reason, and where certain people are getting like tax right, special taxes because they're married. Well, you can't hold that off for someone else, if they want to marry someone of the same sex, or a horse or whatever.
Agreed.
You can't. It's like, but I personally I don't want the government involved with marriage.
No, of course not. And besides, yeah, like the whole idea, like even marriage license, those are racist. They were specifically designed to keep track of like, so there was no interracial marriages.
Yeah, and that's where it's like I really don't want the government involved in marriage. Like it has no right to be there, to be honest, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So, but because they are, and not everyone is Christian. I don't expect them to hold themselves to those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's fine. I don't care. Go for it. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to actual convictions, personal beliefs, and it's not because I hate gay people. I don't. But yeah, I can't I'm not gonna celebrate it. Just like I'm not going to celebrate someone getting a divorce or someone stealing something from another person. It's it's all
or a woman who gets an abortion. It's like, yay! It's like, let's have a post-abortion party. It's like,
no, it's
yeah, that's it's kind of gross. And
yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's I'm not going to sell. Just like I wouldn't want people shining a light and celebrating the things that are wrong about me or that are sinful about me. It's I wouldn't celebrate that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's kind of how I see things, and yeah, just man, I don't know. I think it's kind of messed up that it's are you so spiteful that you had to destroy a man and his way that he makes money to pay for
his livelihood,
for his family, and because I don't see how he'll ever recover from this. I mean, he probably spent so much money defending himself.
Well, actually, Alliance for Freedom or something to do with some faith-based nonprofit did step in and help him with the cost of all his legal stuff.
Oh, that's something.
But yeah, but in the time from 2012 to now, that's a lot of revenue lost.
Yeah, because I don't think he probably wasn't running his business.
Yeah, and so I hope he goes after the state. I hope he goes after those two guys who made this into a federal case when he was perfectly willing to make accommodations, not necessarily bend his morality, but make accommodations.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, you're gay, get the hell out of my store. It wasn't one of those listen, I can't make a custom cake for you and decorate and all that, but we have a fine array of wedding cakes and that are already made. There's all these great things that you could choose from, and whatever you'd like.
Yeah.
But it's no, you're not celebrating us being gay. Well, we're gonna have to destroy your life.
Yeah, I mean,
that's fucked up.
It kind of comes down to the consistency thing. When last week it was last week. We were talking about Roseanne. And a couple days later, the whole Samantha Bee thing, and she said those disgusting and degrading things about Ivanka Trump, and nothing happens to Samantha Bee. Her show. Yeah, she got an award, the freaking motion picture Academy or some affiliated group
for some reason.
Yeah, gave her an award. Of course, they didn't allow the press to be there, but because maybe the press might have asked her some hard questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, she wasn't fired, and Roseanne's tweet, that was more of that was more of a spur of the moment thing. It wasn't a work product, as opposed to the comments that Samantha Bee made on her nationally syndicated television show. That had a lot of that had a process. The writers' room, to the executive producers, to the network, they had to sign off on it, and then the director, he had to, and there was a lot of hands in Samantha Bee's comments, as opposed to Roseanne. She was tweeting at 2:00 in the morning, drugged out on Ambien.
Yeah, and not to what Roseanne did say was not like a good thing either, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just the standards where okay, where is this line that someone's crossing? Where when is it? Where is that standard where okay, this is okay, this isn't, and it
Yeah,
feels like
I mean, fine,
those
okay.
lines are so blurred.
Yeah, which gives me back to the Christian Baker. It's like, all right, you're gonna make the Christian Baker go against his his moral convictions and make the gay cake, the gay wedding cake. Then you have to make the Jewish deli open on Saturdays on the Sabbath. And you have to get the Muslim deli to make me a BLT.
Yeah,
That's how it works. I mean, here's the thing. I'll play by the rules. I'll play by any rules that you give me. But the other side has to play by them too.
yeah,
And I think that's what because the whole Roseanne thing and the Ivanka Trump comments, there was a lot of pushback on that, like to the point where even Brooke Baldwin on CNN pointed it out.
yeah.
That was surprising.
Dude, I was very shocked by her comments too. I was like, oh, I didn't expect to hear that.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know why we're so amazed by this, look up Brooke on YouTube. If it's still there, look up Brooke Baldwin's boobs.
Yep, I remember. Oh God, that's right. That she was part of it. That was her. Oh
Yeah.
God.
I mean, it's not what you think it. It's not what you think it sounds like.
No, it's not like some like nip slip on camera or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I remember.
But look up that clip. See her reaction, and then you'll understand why we're amazed that Brooke Baldwin called Samantha Bee out on this.
Yeah.
And so,
Goodness. I mean,
yeah, again, I don't care. I don't care what the rules are, just as long as everyone is playing by them. That's all I ask for.
Yeah, it's just, man, it's been it's just been crazy, man. The world is going fucking crazy. And it's like we're on this like roller coaster ride of just sheer ridiculousness. And it's like and I don't get me wrong, I don't know. I kind of want to get off the ride sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to make you go on this ride at least one more time with this last topic that I want to talk about.
Okay.
And that is, there's no longer going to be a swimsuit or evening gown portion in the Miss America pageant. Hell, they're not even calling it a pageant anymore. They're calling it a competition.
It's funny you bring this up because you were asking me like what was the other thing I was going to talk about. This was the time. This is what I was going to talk about.
Okay. Oh yeah. So it worked out.
Well, this just goes along the same lines as the whole it's no longer the Boy Scouts, just Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, like, all right, good luck. Like, no one's gonna watch your thing anymore. And this whole idea of you're gonna get like these very intelligent body positive fat women or whatever that they're gonna be not judged on their looks. That's not gonna happen. It's just gonna be one of those things where no one's gonna watch, and then everyone's gonna bitch that no one watched. It's like, it's because you're all sexist, and it's like, no, it's just they're. And I say this as someone that is like, I've never once ever watch one of those pageants because I just don't care, and I don't need to see, hot models going after. I don't need to see it. I don't care.
Right.
But the people that do watch it, that's what they care about. And
Oh yeah, and guess what? And you know the biggest demographic of people who watch the Miss America pageant is
who?
women.
Really?
Yeah, it's not men.
They're not gonna watch then.
Okay,
They're not gonna watch.
okay. Never in my life have me and my guy friends had a Miss America watching party.
Oh, I can't.
Never
think of
happened. It never happened. Okay, but you know, I have known some women who have had Miss America watching parties.
Get the fuck out of here! Really?
Yeah, you know, it's just like the Oscars or or any type of award show for women.
God.
You know, they get to see the fashion. They get this, and then they get the fain and fawn over the ones that they like and call like utter skanks and has no sense of taste. It's the ones the celebrities that they don't.
Yeah, man. It's funny is the common trope for guys, like, all you guys think about is sex and boobs and all this stuff. It's like, how I know that's not true? Because we don't watch shit like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Even the Victoria's Secret like Angels like fashion show that they have
I don't watch
every
that
year.
either.
I don't watch it. I legitimately do not watch it. Even though I know what's going to be on the screen. I know what's going to be on the screen. And yet, I do not watch it. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that just amazing?
I know. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm no prude. We all, I mean, both, neither you or me are. But yeah, I don't watch these pageants. I don't watch these I don't get like the Sports Illustrated like swimsuit edition. I don't, because it's like, why? Yes,
I don't get it either. And here's the thing, like you were saying in the beginning, how they're essentially taking out the core element of the thing. Like you were saying, like in Boy Scouts, Boy Scouts, you're taking the boy out of Boy Scouts. Like, well, that's what it was eventually intended for boys. It's like, no, that's done with now. It's like now, like this used to be this used to be a beauty pageant. It's like, no, let's take the beauty part out of it. You're taking the essential component out of a thing, and you still expect it to be the same thing.
It's not.
It's not. It's just like it's like taking the cream filling out of a Twinkie. Is it still a Twinkie?
No, it's just a.
No, it's just a piece of cake. Bread. It's a hollowed out piece of cake.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing. Let me just quickly say. They scream. Let's just say feminists, like third wave feminists. They shriek and they howl and they have slut walks and they say, oh, a woman should be able to wear bottle caps and string and still feel safe and not be objectified, right? But a woman who willingly enters a beauty pageant, a beauty contest, essentially, and one of the requirements of that beauty pageant is to wear a bathing suit. Then she has no agency and she's just a piece of meat.
Yeah,
well, it can't be both. It can't be both. You can't be empowered wearing bottle caps and string in one context, but then a victim, wearing a regular old bathing suit of your own volition in another.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I think part of it is like, I look at these people and it makes me feel bad because they don't like themselves. It's like, so then do something about it. Don't.
Yeah, you know, like that. You know,
else.
Yeah, it's like that Michael Jackson song. Start with the man in the mirror.
Exactly. But you know what I was thinking is, you know, to bring a Simpsons reference into this, of course.
Of course.
There's the episode where Deep Space Homer, in which him and Barney are competing to see who gets to be the local Joe that gets to go up into space. And Barney's kicking Homer's ass, obviously, and he's like, well,
once he stops drinking.
Yeah, because Barney stops drinking, but it's like, well, there's a little something called the swimsuit competition that hasn't gone on yet. It's like, Homer, there's no swimsuit competition. Well, that's essentially what's happening with the beauty pageant. Yeah, it's like
exactly. And it's funny because they, you know, they make it seem like these pageants are run by, you know, these, you know, Harvey Weinstein-esque men. You know, when even right now the president, you know, or like the head of the Miss America pageant is Gretchen Carlson, a woman, you know, who was caught up in like the whole Roger Ailes like sexual harassment thing, and also historically, you know, the Miss America pageant was run by women. You know, and I think the longest running president of the Miss America pageant was I don't remember her name, but the span that which she ran the pageant was like 20 years, and that was from like 1941 to 1961. Yeah, it was a woman.
Well, you know, part of me thinks that maybe, just maybe, that because everything that he does drives the left crazy, is that because I think at one time Donald Trump was a judge for the I think it was the Miss America pageant, or
no. He owned Miss Universe.
Was it Miss Universe?
Yeah, the Universe competition. Yeah, I think he was the owner of the competition.
Okay, I thought he was like the Miss America. He was like a judge for the Miss America pageant or something like that.
Oh. I mean, maybe back in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh, like I said, obviously it's not with like in recent, super recent history, but it's kind of like one of those things like, oh well, you know, one time Donald Trump was involved with this, so we gotta eliminate, you know, all this. So it's like, but like you said, it's like these things weren't necessarily run by like Harvey Weinstein-esque type men. It was more of like you said, it was like women that like started this whole thing. It's like, because
and you know,
honest,
I'm sorry,
I'm a guy. I don't care. I don't care.
Right? Yeah. We don't care. The Victoria's Secret show happens every year, and I don't watch. Even though I know what I'm gonna see, and I like what, you know, the thing I like the thing that they show. Don't get me wrong. I like the thing that they show, but I don't watch it.
But I think it's important to talk about stuff like this and like why it's ridiculous, because, you know, while it's something that maybe you don't care about at the moment, eventually, because the insatiable appetite to destroy anything ever by the left is that eventually it's going to come after the things that are important to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like it's just. They are, like I said, insatiable. They cannot be satisfied.
Yeah, they eat their own.
Yeah.
It's not hyperbole. You know, it's like when Roseanne was on Jimmy Kimmel and she was, and he was saying that, oh, you seem to have changed. And she said, I didn't change. I stayed the same. It's all of you guys who changed. And that's what happens. Like, you know, when you're on the left, like, you think, you know, you guys are, you know, that you and like the rest of the left are in this entrenched position, and you don't move. But then, you know, you find yourself like that, and then you set up the tent, around that entrenched position. But then all of a sudden, sooner or later, you start seeing the tent move. I mean, you're not moving, but the tent moves more and more to the left.
Yeah. It's man,
and that's basically what happened. It's like that Ronald Reagan quote. He said like, "I didn't leave the left left me."
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are realizing that now too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can't be progressive enough almost to satisfy.
Yeah, and that's how you have a sitting U.S. senator defend MS-13 gang members.
Maybe I missed something. I mean, there's just this great spark of divinity in them, and it's like,
right? Yes, the raping, murdering, Satan worshiping MS-13.
I mean, there is a lot. If you look into people's eyes, you can kind of tell a lot but there's just some people where it's like there is something very demonic in this person's life that it's just you almost like, I feel like they lose that spark, capturing that spark of the eye that's in the eye, and you look into those people's eyes and it's like it's gone.
Yeah, it's really quite sad.
Yeah. The other something I was thinking about today too, because I wasn't really thinking about we were going to be talking about this today, but something where I wonder, do some of these people really believe in these things? Like, I mean, it's like I know, like, sometimes people there's this mass majority of people who are just like, what, like, I just want to live my life, but to the elite who are making policy and all this stuff, do they actually really believe in it, or are they like just kind of fooled and they're just kind of going along a line, and or are they like being very duplicitous and like they know it's like going to destroy certain things and they just do it anyways?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because sometimes I just don't know. Because like when take Nancy Pelosi, like her defense of MS-13 gang members, it's like there's no way you actually believe that. But then there's some part of me that's like man, this she's either an idiot, a pander. She's either an idiot, a pander, or evil.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't know what it is with some of these people, and it just it's
yeah. I mean, those are the only like those are the only three things that that I can boil it down to. Like they're either idiots, they're panders, which means they don't have integrity, or they're just evil.
Also, or is it that where people who are stuck on the coast, they just like I think it drives people crazy, like that they're just in on the coast, because our New York and LA and California or whatever, it's they're very liberal in their political leanings. But I wonder if just like there's just so many people here and like they think that's it, and it drives them crazy.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm yeah. It's one of, like I said, I just want the rules to be clear cut, and then it's like, and then just like everyone has to follow the rules.
Right? Yeah. That's what I'm about too. I don't care what the rules are. Just everyone has to play by them. So the Christian baker has to bake the gay cake. The Jewish deli has to be open on the Sabbath, and the Muslim deli has to make me a BLT.
If it's gonna be like that way for one person, it has to be that way for everybody.
Right? Then them's the rules. I want everyone to be playing by them rules.
Yeah.
I'm not complicated.
If you're gonna destroy liberty and freedom for one party, it's got to be every party, or you got to just hey, you know what? That's not a government issue. You guys figure it out.
It's I watched Andrew Klavan's speech that he gave at UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Not for a graduation. That'd be how amazing would that have been if it was for a graduation?
Yeah.
But it was just like for the local or the on campus youth of a the YAF. I forget what the acronym stands for, but like Youth American Freedom.
Something like that.
Something like that. But yeah, he was like saying how. Oh god, I lost my train of thought. Damn it. What were we talking about?
You were talking about Andrew Klavan. You were talking about Andrew Klavan at
No,
UCLA.
but before that.
We were talking about
something about rules. Oh yeah. That's right. Now I remember. So we're talking about just about rules and something really profound that he said was freedom costs everybody. Freedom isn't free. It costs everybody, and that cost is allowing others to have freedom. That's the price of your freedom. Your freedom is to allow other people to have freedom as well.
Yeah.
And I think that is so profound. Because everyone because people take freedom for granted. They don't associate a cost to freedom. It's like it's free, it's freedom, so it should be free. It's like no, freedom is usually acquired at a very steep price, right? And he just like boiled it down to like a very simple thing. It's like the cost of your freedom is to allow other people to have their freedom. And that kind of like an example is like, well, the freedom of speech. It's like if you want your freedom of speech, you have to let someone else have their freedom of speech, and it doesn't matter if you like what they say or not. It's like, but that's the price for your speech.
Yeah.
And so I mean, coming back to the baker, it's like if you don't want anyone to tell you who you can do business with, then don't force a business to do business with you. If you would not provide services for whatever reason, then you have to allow a business to refuse services for whatever reason. That's the price. Yeah, damn, he's such a wise dude.
He's he phrases things in a very interesting way. I find him to be a very interesting guy.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember like early on when I was first discovering Steven Crowder, Andrew Klavan was on his podcast, and one of the compliments that he gave to Andrew Klavan was you always leave the other person feeling you always leave the other person feeling like they're the smartest one in the room.
Yeah, he does. He definitely
and
does.
And he does that, and it's like even though like he's like teaching you something, like he makes you feel like you had like this inherent knowledge all the time, the whole time.
Yeah, he definitely has that flair about him.
Yeah. Word. Oh. Well, I mean, those were all the topics I had.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to end it.
Yes. All right. I hope there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the Nocturnal Transmission stream tonight. I know we got into a lot of different things, and I have to say this is one of the more enjoyable conversations that I've had on this stream in quite a while.
yeah, because normally you're always dreading talking to me. So
I know. God damn! I gotta talk to Robert again. Jeez.
Yeah.
But no, this is this is a really good one. I especially enjoyed tonight's conversation, and I hope that you too, audience, enjoyed the conversation. Don't forget that every Tuesday we do this every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock ish. Sometimes, most of the time, 50-50. Don't forget to check out the library of other videos from the main Circle of Jerks podcast, and also from other Nocturnal Transmissions episodes. Don't forget that this Thursday, the latest episode of Up by Up Down, starring the homeboy Rob, will be dropping. So be sure to check that out. And don't forget to follow us on our various social medias. Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast, and Twitter at Podcast COJ. Robert, did you have anything you wanted to say to the audience before we sign off?
Well, you talked about Up by Up Down, so that's good. And go watch Maltese Falcon. Pretty decent.
There you go. You have your film recommendation for the week. Do with it as you will. I'm your boy Andy. That was homeboy Rob. And thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.